Here's a couple questions that led me to believe that you don't want to put in the work. Where do I find the render component? Or something like, my character isn't moving the way I want it to. How do I fix it? Now, both of these questions you can find the answer to just by Googling stuff. The difference is that one of them is just the matter of getting used to the Unity UI as a tool, and the other one is just learning how to code, figuring out, reading your own code, debugging, figuring out exactly where you went wrong. And I think you can think of it this way. If you love basketball, or if you love jiu-jitsu or any kind of sport or martial arts, you got to be willing to, you are willing to spend hours and hours, years on practicing that art or sport, and eventually you get better at it. You're not going to find all your answers within a week, a few months. It takes years and years of hard work and hours on a daily basis of you doing research, putting work into your own projects and finishing one project after another, and eventually you become a black belt. Sometimes I see in game dev people asking me questions, and a lot of those questions are either extremely general or extremely simple. Not always, but sometimes. People are just looking for quick answers. And imagine you doing this for 5 years. For 5 years, whenever you get stuck, you try to seek help from Discord, Twitter, wherever. Instead of trying to figure things out on your own, instead of trying to learn how to code, try to read every line, try to debug everything, you rely on other people to do the work for you. If you have the money to hire people for 5 years and you still don't understand anything, that's fine. You're just putting money down the drain, but that's probably not most of us. The most practical, it might be difficult, but the most practical solution for me is, in my opinion, is for you to start working and try to figure things out on your own. There's nothing wrong with asking for help, but if you're trying to make a three-pointer, you don't talk about it. You do seek help, but a lot of it is you going out there and practicing your shots. You might have a coach, you might read about it, you might have some theories, but at the end of the day, you gotta, put in, you gotta practice. And it's exactly the same thing with game development, with anything really. Once you start finishing projects on your own, you start with a very simple one and then you move on. And sometimes when I see people that are just not willing to put in the work, they just want to ask a bunch of questions and not practice at all, I really don't have anything else to say to them other than saying that you got to put in the work. You got to be willing to grind it out and figure things out. Sometimes people are copy pasting code into my Discord server or in the comments, and they talk about their problem, and I skim through their code, and most of the time I realize that they're copy pasting the wrong thing. It lets me know that they don't know how to read their own code. They're not doing any debugging, they're just changing random things, random variables, and hoping that things would work, which is kind of like relying on magic for you to finish your project. I think the reason why you're copy pasting the wrong part of your code and looking in the wrong place is that you don't have enough experience writing code or reading code or debugging. You just haven't been putting in the work yet. I hope you don't get me wrong. I do try to help people as much as I can. I do try to reply to everything, every single comment. And if you have a GitHub link, I might check it out and give you a few pointers. Sometimes I even write a few lines of code for you. But it comes down to this. Are you willing to Google stuff? Are you willing to do research for hours, years in the long term, and figure things out on your own and come up with your own solutions? For a general question, you're only going to get a general answer. You got to be willing to put in the work. And in most cases, it's going to take years and years of you grinding it out. So that's all I got to say for this video. You can reach me on my Discord server or leave your comments or questions in the comments, and I'll try my best to answer your questions. Thanks for watching. See you next time.